Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of 1990's Represent. We're jumping into our third cycle on 1999, doing that with an album. In this episode, we're talking about There Is Nothing Left to Lose by the Foo Fighters, their third studio album, and my absolute favorite album from them, probably by quite a wide margin, I would say. All their albums I have enjoyed, every single one of their albums, but this is the one I go back to probably more often than all the other ones. Absolutely brilliant album. Amazing vocals on this, amazing just instrumentation. It's a more relaxed album, more kind of chilled out than some of their other stuff, especially the two prior albums, their self-titled debut and then The Color of the Shape. But we have some notes here about it. We're going to get through the notes, get through the track list. Again, such an incredible album and my favorite album from them. So let me just get to my notes here. So we have There Is Nothing Left to Lose by the Foo Fighters, first released November 2nd, 1999. This is their first studio album with Taylor Hawkins behind the drums. So joined kind of after The Color of the Shape was already out, toured that with them, but obviously didn't play any songs off that album, on that album. But Dave Grohl re-recorded all the drums on The Color of the Shape. They brought Taylor in to replace our former drummer William Goldsmith, and then basically kind of took over from there. This is the first album that he drummed on with them. I think this album, from what I remember reading, is about a 50% split between Dave Grohl doing the drumming and Taylor Hawkins doing the drumming. And then after this album, one by one through Medicine and Midnight, Taylor was the main drummer on most of those albums, pretty much all those albums, with the exception of like maybe a couple tracks here and there. I know like there's like a track where like Paul McCartney is actually drumming. I think that's on Concrete and Gold. I think it's Sunday Rain is the track on that. But Taylor basically came in here, basically splitting the drumming duties between him and Dave. This album definitely more of a more relaxed album, more chilled out. I think like their first two albums went fairly hard into the kind of like heavy rock territory with their first two. This one is definitely like I would say only maybe the first two tracks are kind of in the kind of hard rock vein, and then kind of like Learn to Fly all the way to the end of the album. A little bit more like toned down. Like I said, it's probably their most chilled out album, and then I would say that's probably followed by some of the stuff on Echo, Silence, Patience, and Grace. Is probably, in my opinion, their second most relaxing album. There's definitely some hard hitting tracks on that album, but I feel this one is more or less like very kind of just like very chilled out. Let's see here. Only recorded basically with three members of the band. So basically, at this point, it was just Dave Grohl, Taylor Hawkins, and Nate Mendel. They basically recorded the entire album together at Dave's house in Virginia. Built like a recording studio in their basement to get it all kind of like recorded. And let's see. Apparently, this is also Dave Grohl's favorite album from them. I remember reading in his autobiography that this was the album he was like most proud of, because like I definitely like the aesthetic of it. It's just basically three friends just chilling, having a good time over like a summer or however long they lived there, recording music kind of whenever they wanted. And I feel that kind of relaxed environment definitely comes through on the recording. See here, won two Grammys. So one in 2001. So it came out a little too late to get into the 2000s or the 2000 Grammy Awards. So it was ended up getting nominated in the 2001 Grammy Awards. One for Best Rock Album, and then also one for I think it was like Best Short Form Music Video for "Learn to Fly." "Learn to Fly" is it's one of their better songs overall. I think I really like that song, but the music video is iconic. It's like them basically like on an airplane. You have them playing like various characters. Jack Black and Kyle Gass are in there from Tenacious D. Just a very iconic music video. one of my two favorite videos from them. I think Walk is probably my other one because it parodies the Michael Douglas movie Falling Down like perfectly. So Foo Fighters have some amazing music videos, but I think Learn to Fly and Walk are like the absolute like top of that list for those. Franz Stahl was their guitarist initially, but I think they basically let him go, and that's when the band became just a three-member band with Dave Taylor and Nate. So basically then Studio 606 was also the name of the studio, the basement studio in Virginia, but also that name Dave Grohl uses that number. It's just like a special number for him. Their LA studio also called Studio 606. There is some excellent quotes here I'm going to bring up from Dave Grohl about the kind of recording process on this album. This is one track about "And It the Life," a great track on the album. And this is from a 1999 interview. So I'm just going to say a quote. "And It the Life, I think is the one song where I would love to play on my porch. Living in Los Angeles for a year and a half, I think it ignited that hatred that I had for so long of things that are false and glamorous and just not real. Getting back to Virginia was such a nice feeling of community, family, and the DC music scene. Old friends and things that I've never lost but felt like I needed more of in my life. So, And It the Life is just kind of about living the quiet Virginia life, and that's definitely one of the more relaxed tracks on the album. And then another quote from him about that. It says, "This is quote. It was all about just settling into the next phase of your life. That place where you go, that place where you can sit back and relax because there had been so much crazy shit in the past 3 years. At that point, it was me, Taylor, and Nate. We were best friends. It was one of the most relaxing times of my whole life. All we did was eat chili, drink beer and whiskey, and record whenever we felt like it. Whenever I listen to that record, it totally brings me back to that basement. I remember how it smelled and how it was in the spring. So the windows were open, and we do vocals until you could hear the birds through the microphone. And more than any other record I've ever done, that album does that to me." So just some excellent quotes there from him. Just like the recording process of it just sounds like it's just basically three best friends just kind of like living together, creating music. He goes into obviously more detail about the recording process of this album in his autobiography, The Storyteller, which I highly recommend. I've listened to it twice, or read it twice, I should say. Listened to the audio book, and then also read the hardcover book as well. I think there's an expanded version of the book. I haven't picked it up, but I remember seeing it at a bookstore, and there's like a couple. It's like an updated edition of the book, and there was a whole section on there about the recording process for the track Aurora, which is my overall favorite song from them. Aurora is just a beautiful, amazingly beautiful song. I think maybe the very first, from what I've read in what various interviews, the first song that Taylor played drums on, and remember Dave kind of guiding him through the process of how he wanted the drums to sound. And in this excerpt of the book I saw at the store, it was like Dave was testing out like a new like effects pedal, and the intro riff of Aurora, which plays for a second, and then Taylor's drums just come in, like a few seconds later. But yeah, I would definitely check out his book. It's an excellent book. The audio book is amazing because he reads it as well. There's some quotes here. There's basically lots and lots of guitars on the album, but it was only recorded with 3 people. So when they decided they needed another member of the band to kind of, whenever they were going to play these songs live, they needed that other guitarist, and that's how Chris Shiflett ended up getting kind of brought into the Foo Fighters. Went through like a big audition process, and then was kind of like hired on as their new guitarist. Basically, like hiring him on to do live recordings, but has been a member of the band since this album came out. And then he's also very accomplished, like outside of the Foo Fighters. With, he was in Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, and then also he's got just a ton of side projects, like his own country music is excellent. So I would definitely recommend checking out Chris Shiflett's music as well. The album came out to some very good reviews. Let me actually pull those up here. So again, this is just to preface. This is my favorite all-time album from them, and I don't see any other album really replacing it anytime soon. I think my top three, if I had to like go off of it today, is "There's Nothing Left to Lose," then "Wasting Light," and then "Echo, Silence, Patience, and Grace." "Echo, Silence, Patience, and Grace" has actually really climbed my rankings lately. I think that one, it's got a lot of really good heavy tracks on it, but it's also got some more relaxed tracks, like in the style of this album here. But All Music has it at a 4 out of 5. The Alternative Press has it at a 4 out of 5. A B plus from Entertainment Weekly. The Guardian has it at a 4 out of 5. LA Times looks like it's a 2.5 out of 4. NME gives it a 7 out of 10. Q has it at a 4 out of 5. Rolling Stone has it looks like at 3.5 out of 5. The Rolling Stone Album Guide has it at a 2.5 out of 5, kind of weirdly. And then USA Today has it at a 4 out of 5. Apparently, a bunch of the songs on the album were used in the fourth season of Daria during the credits. However, I don't know if Daria is streaming anymore or if it ever was. But I think I had or I remember like checking out some old episodes. I think I had them like on like an old like hard drive, and I think they were off the DVDs or something, and I don't think they had the licensing for that. So it's kind of like the Wonder Years. Why the Wonder Years is like they basically just have it's impossible to license the music. So I imagine Daria's kind of in the same situation, because I kind of wanted to go through those episodes and see how they used them. Like, it was only during the ending credits. I think like Aurora was one of the tracks that was used on that show, according to my my research. And I had this out earlier. Let me actually pull this down here. One of the albums I actually still just have it right up there. This is the CD of "There's Nothing Left to Lose." I think the original pressings of the CDs actually included some temporary tattoos. But yeah, you just got this nice fold out here, and then the back of it there. Again, I have it on CD, and then I also own it on vinyl. Let me see if I can actually pull that out. All my Foo Fighters stuff just kind of off to the side here. Hope I grabbed the right one. There we go. So that is the vinyl of it. And yeah, the temporary tattoo that I think came in the original pressings was the Foo Fighters tattoo, and this is on the back of Dave's neck there. But just an amazing vinyl. Have all their albums on vinyl as well. But yeah, this is just a very beautiful album. One of my favorite albums of all time. Let's now just get into the track listing on this. So it's not a super long album. It comes in about 46 minutes. So track one is Stacked Actors. Stacked Actors being probably one of the two harder hitting tracks on the album. So it kind of starts off like a heavy rock album, but then after like the second track, it definitely kind of takes a step back and becomes a much more chilled out album. So again, track one is Stacked Actors. Track two is Breakout, another one of the more hard hitting tracks on the album. Track three is Learn to Fly. Sorry. Track three, Learn to Fly. It's a little more chilled out than Breakout. It's still kind of got some heavy riffs to it and some really good, excellent drum work. One of the more iconic tracks as well. Track four is Gimme Stitches. Track five is Generator. Absolutely love Generator. One of my favorite tracks on them as well. Glad that one is starting to actually get played live. I don't know if it was normally played live, but I know sometimes they will throw in some stuff that usually doesn't get played. The most recent concert I went to of them back in August, they played Generator, and it was absolutely amazing. Track six is Aurora. Absolute favorite track on the album, an absolute favorite track from them overall. Just a very chilled out song. It's got a very simple yet effective drum beat. It's one of the first drum beats I kind of like, the main driving groove. I actually learned to play that on I think they're right behind me, the little Pile digital drum sets. Like, basically it's just like On the transcription I was studying off of, it's like you hit your hi-hat, you hit your hi-hat and your kick, you then hit your hi-hat and your snare, and then you hit your hi-hat and your kick again. And it's just like the driving groove is just incredibly like simple yet very effective. And then toward you get some kind of more crazy fills toward the end of the song. But Aurora is just a beautiful track. Track 7 is Living Skin. That was excellent. Track 8 is Next Year. Another great track about, like, I just find it like, it's like, I'll be coming home next year. Like, about like returning to a place where you've been before, kind of. Like, that's kind of the vibe I get out that track. Track 9 is Headwires. Track 10 is Ain't It the Life, and that's a track we just had a quote from Dave about earlier in the video. And then track 11 is MIA. Yeah, so like I said, 11 tracks, about 46 minutes and 16 seconds. Just, again, this album for me, no skips at all. Absolutely, absolutely love it. And it's an amazing album. And they kind of got away from the stuff they had done prior. Like Dave, basically, like their first album was basically all Dave except for like one small part. The Color and the Shape, kind of where they really kind of like broke out, kind of like, and then became, I think, like the Foo Fighters that we know now. Like probably started with that album, because then that's when they, like were kind of firing on all cylinders. But at that point, they had lost, when they recorded this album, I think they got rid of Fran Stahl and Pat Smear had left as well. Pat Smear obviously has since returned. But you basically just you boil it down to probably like two of the three original members. Like, it was like Pat was gone, but you basically brought Taylor in at this point. And Dave and Nate had been in the band basically almost since like the beginning. Even though I think Dave did the entire first album, but then when he wanted to create a band, I think like Nate was one of the first people he brought on. And then when Taylor was touring with Alanis Morissette, I remember Alanis, there's like an interview where she was asking Taylor, he's like, hey, what are you going to do when Dave asks you to play drums with him? And that's eventually, like what happened. But I just cannot recommend this album enough. It's my absolute favorite Foo Fighters album, and I think this is an excellent way to start off our third cycle in 1999. So that is going to do it for this episode. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We will be coming back in a few days with a movie. Really excited about that. And then a 1999 video game before we jump back into 1990 for our upcoming fourth cycle. Again, that's going to do it for now. So thanks again for watching. Take care and have a good one. See ya.